The meaning and interpretation of signs in treasure hunting. Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to our treasure hunt channel. Thank you for supporting us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. In today's video, we're diving into a fascinating and complex sign system used in treasure hunting. We'll explore the meaning behind these signs and their connection to hidden treasures. So, let's get started. As you can see in the image, the signs we're focusing on include a footprint, a large circular carving, a small circular carving, and two small square carvings. At first glance, these might seem confusing or overwhelming. However, once we break them down, you'll see they're actually quite straightforward. Each of these symbols has a specific meaning, and together they form a map leading to the treasure. The footprint sign. Let's start with the footprint sign. In treasure hunting symbols, the footprint represents the owner of the treasure. It's a guide to follow and points us in the right direction. When you find a footprint carved into rock, it's crucial to examine the direction it's pointing. This direction often leads to additional clues or landmarks. It's not just about following the path, but understanding what the footprint wants to convey. The circular carvings. Next, let's discuss the circular carvings, both the large and small ones. The small circular carving symbolizes an obstacle on the path to the treasure. This could be a mound, a standing stone, or any kind of barrier you'll encounter. On the other hand, the large circular carving represents the location and shape of the treasure site. Typically, this site is a circular area, often an artificial mound or a hill created by stacking stones and soil. This combination suggests that the treasure is hidden beneath or around such a formation. So, when you come across these carvings, visualize the site as a circular mound. The square carvings. Now, about the two small square carvings. These are designed to mislead. Their primary purpose is to throw treasure hunters off track. If you focus on these, you'll likely end up searching in the wrong places. Specifically, the square carving behind the footprint's direction should be ignored. It's a deliberate distraction to make the hunt more challenging. Interpreting the signs together. When we put these signs together, a clear pattern emerges. The footprint directs you to the path. The small circular carving warns of obstacles ahead. The large circular carving indicates the shape and type of the treasure site. The square carvings serve as false leads to avoid. The footprint leads you to a potential obstacle, often a standing stone. This stone isn't the treasure itself, but a waypoint. Once you pass it, move forward by the same distance you covered to reach the stone. That's where the real treasure is likely hidden. Important tips for treasure hunters. A few essential tips. Always consider the footprint's direction first. Avoid the square carvings as they are traps. When dealing with a circular mound, ensure a wide area is cleared carefully to prevent accidents. The treasure is typically buried at the lowest layer beneath the mound, so patience and precision are key. And that wraps up today's exploration of treasure signs and their meanings. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with fellow treasure enthusiasts. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay curious and keep hunting. How to locate the treasure site using ancient signs. Thank you so much for your support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos. Today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing aspects of treasure hunting, how to accurately locate a treasure site using ancient signs. We'll be focusing on the footprint sign, standing stones, and the distance measurement techniques to pinpoint the treasure's exact location. So grab your notebook and let's get started. Understanding the footprint sign. Let's begin with the footprint sign. In ancient treasure maps, a footprint carved into stone has a significant meaning. It doesn't just indicate a path, but also represents the owner of the treasure. More importantly, it shows the direction you need to follow. When you come across a footprint sign, the first thing to do is examine the toe's direction. This direction will guide you to the next clue or obstacle, which is often a standing stone. The footprint serves as the starting point of your journey, the role of the standing stone. As you walk in the direction indicated by the footprint, you'll likely encounter a standing stone. Now, it's essential to understand that this stone is not the treasure site, but a guidepost. The standing stone is a marker placed deliberately to confirm the path you're on. Standing stones often have additional carvings or clues. They might feature notches, arrows, or even smaller carvings. These markings can provide hints about the distance or direction you need to follow next. It's crucial not to waste time digging around the standing stone. Instead, observe it carefully for further clues. Measuring the distance. The key to locating the treasure lies in measuring the distance between the footprint and the standing stone. This distance is not random, but a calculated measure used by those who hid the treasure. Here's the process. Measure the distance between the footprint and the standing stone as accurately as possible. You'll need to walk this same distance past the standing stone in a straight line. For example, if the distance between the footprint and the standing stone is 20 steps, you need to take 20 more steps forward from the standing stone. This method ensures that you're heading directly to the treasure site without being misled by false clues. Common obstacles and misleading signs. On your way, you might encounter other signs or obstacles designed to confuse you. One common trick is the presence of false signs, such as additional footprints or carvings that lead away from the true path. To avoid being misled, ignore square carvings found behind the footprint's direction. They are decoys. Focus solely on the original footprint and the standing stone. Check for natural formations, like boulders or trees, that might hide clues. Staying on the correct path is all about focusing on the initial direction and distance, interpreting additional carvings. If you encounter circular carvings along the way, pay close attention. A small circular carving might indicate a smaller obstacle like a stone pile. Large circular carving often represents the shape of the treasure site, usually a mound or an artificial hill. These symbols can also suggest the depth and structure of the hiding spot. For instance, a large circular carving might mean the treasure is buried deep beneath a circular mound. The distance and direction given by these carvings should align with the footprint's path. Reaching the treasure site. Once you have covered the same distance, past the standing stone as between it and the footprint, you should be at the potential treasure site. Here's what to do next. Look for signs of disturbed ground, unusual stone arrangements, or compacted soil. The site is often marked by a circular formation of rocks or a mound when digging. Be cautious and remove stones gradually to prevent collapse. The treasure is usually hidden in the deepest part of the mound, so be patient and methodical. Important tips and warnings. Before wrapping up, here are some important tips. Always carry a measuring tool to track distances accurately. Keep an eye out for hidden traps or decoys, such as square carvings or false paths. Ensure you have the right equipment to dig safely, especially when dealing with mounds. Avoid rushing, as the real treasure is often hidden underneath multiple layers of stone and soil. And there you have it, treasure hunters. A complete guide to locating treasure sites using ancient signs and measuring distances accurately. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your fellow treasure enthusiasts, and subscribe for more fascinating treasure hunting tips. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay curious and happy hunting. Deciphering false signs and traps in treasure hunting. As always, we appreciate your support, so please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more treasure hunting tips. Today, we're focusing on one of the most challenging aspects of treasure hunting: false signs and traps. We'll uncover how to identify misleading carvings, especially the square carvings, and how to follow the right path by paying attention to the distances between the signs. So, let's dive in and separate the real clues from the decoys. The purpose of false signs. First things first, why were false signs even used? Ancient treasure barriers were not just hiding treasures. They were actively trying to mislead and confuse anyone who might try to find them. One of the most common tricks they used was the square carving. In many treasure sites, you'll find two square carvings, one in the direction indicated by the footprint sign, another behind the footprint, often leading to nothing. The square carvings were deliberately placed to distract you from the real path. It's crucial to understand that only the square carving in front of the footprint's direction might hold any significance. The one behind the footprint is a trap. Ignore it completely, identifying the false square carvings. So, how can you tell which square carving is false? Here are some key tips. If a square carving is behind the footprint direction, it's meant to mislead you. Such carvings are often found in locations that look tempting but are empty. For instance, if you dig in the direction indicated by the rear square carving, you'll likely find nothing but rocks or loose soil. This carving is a classic decoy. Its only purpose is to waste your time and effort. The main rule: never waste time exploring the rear square carving. Focus on the footprints, direction, and the other signs instead, the relationship between the footprint and circular carvings. Now, let's talk about the distance between the footprint and the large circular carving. This distance is vital because it also indicates how far you need to walk after passing the standing stone. Here's how it works. The footprint points the way and leads you to the standing stone. Measure the distance between the footprint and the large circular carving. After you pass the standing stone, walk the same distance forward. This technique helps bypass the false signs and ensures you're following the correct path. Ancient treasure barriers used these consistent measurements to guide those who could decipher the clues correctly. The role of the large circular carving. The large circular carving isn't just a sign, it's a confirmation. It indicates the shape and location of the treasure site, usually a circular mound or artificial hill. If you find a large circular carving, it's a strong indication that you're on the right path. Key points to remember. The distance between the footprint and the large circular carving is the same distance you need to walk after the standing stone. The circular shape suggests the treasure is buried under a mound that mirrors this form. So, when you encounter a large circular carving, it's time to pay close attention to the distances involved. Common mistakes to avoid. Here are some common mistakes to avoid when dealing with false signs and traps. Following the rear square carving. This leads to nowhere. Digging around the standing stone. It's only a waypoint, not the treasure site. Ignoring the distances between signs. These measurements are crucial. Ancient treasure hiders were experts at misdirection. They often placed tempting signs to lead hunters astray. Sticking to the distances and ignoring false signs is the key to success. Pro tips for handling traps. Here are some expert tips for avoiding traps. Carry a measuring tool to ensure you're covering the correct distances. Use a compass to maintain the right direction, especially when following the footprint's path. Always focus on the main signs, the footprint, the standing stone, and the large circular carving. By following these tips, you'll avoid wasting time on decoys and stay on the path to the real treasure. And that's it for today's video, treasure hunters. By understanding false signs and traps, you're now one step closer to uncovering hidden treasures. If you found this information useful, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your fellow hunters, and don't forget to subscribe for more treasure hunting secrets. Essential precautions when excavating treasure sites. In today's video, we're focusing on one of the most critical aspects of treasure hunting, safety and precautions at the treasure site. We'll cover how to safely excavate, what signs to look for, and how to interpret clues without risking your safety. So if you're ready to dig deep, both literally and figuratively, let's get started. Understanding the treasure site. Let's start by discussing where treasures are typically buried. Ancient treasure buriers often hid their wealth in man-made mounds of soil and stones. These mounds are not natural, they're constructed to hide the treasure at the lowest layer. Key indicators of such a site include circular or dome-shaped mounds, compacted soil mixed with stones, often with unusual formations, carvings on rocks nearby that match the signs we discussed in previous videos. The goal was to make the site blend in with the natural environment while being accessible to those who understood the signs. If you find a mound with these characteristics, you might be onto something. The danger of rushed excavations. One of the most common mistakes treasure hunters make is digging too quickly or in a narrow area. This approach can be extremely dangerous because loose stones and soil can easily collapse. Excavating without support could cause the entire mound to cave in. Proper excavation requires patience and a strategic approach. Clear a wide area around the potential site. Remove stones from the top down, not from the sides. Ensure that the ground is stable before digging deeper. By following these steps, you'll minimize the risk of accidents and make it easier to reach the treasure safely. Examining the surrounding rocks. Before you start digging, it's essential to thoroughly examine the rocks near the site. Many times, the key clues are carved directly onto these rocks. Look for footprint signs indicating the direction to follow. Large and small circular carvings suggesting the shape and depth of the treasure chamber. Square carvings that we know can be false clues. These should be carefully evaluated. Interpreting these signs correctly will help you avoid unnecessary digging and lead you straight to the right spot. The importance of layer-by-layer excavation. When you begin excavating, always do it layer by layer. Start from the topmost layer of soil and stones, gradually moving deeper. Why is this important? Ancient treasure buriers often placed trap layers, thin layers of loose stones that can collapse. By removing soil and stones slowly, you can detect these traps before triggering them. Also, keep an eye out for distinctive stone formations. These might mark the entrance to a buried chamber. Flat stones placed horizontally, these often cover hidden tunnels or chests. Patience is key. Rushing can lead to missing clues or worse, causing a collapse. Identifying safe digging zones. Once you're sure of the site, identify safe zones for digging. Focus on areas where the soil appears compacted. These are less likely to collapse. Avoid edges and unstable slopes until you have cleared and supported them. Good strategy is to dig a test pit first. Start with a small, shallow pit to examine the soil and stone layers. Look for signs like charcoal, clay bricks, or small artifacts that might indicate you're on the right track. If the test pit looks promising, expand gradually while maintaining stable walls. Recognizing the treasure layer. As you dig deeper, be on the lookout for the treasure layer. This is usually at the lowest point of the mound, beneath multiple layers of stone and soil. The treasure layer often has denser, compact soil and might contain broken pottery or charcoal as a marker. Once you reach this layer, proceed slowly and carefully. Avoid using sharp tools that might damage potential finds. Use a brush and small trowel to uncover items gently. This layer is where you're most likely to find chests, coins, or other valuable artifacts. Final safety tips. Before we wrap up, here are some final safety tips. Never dig alone. Always have a partner to assist and monitor for safety. Wear gloves, goggles, and a mask. Dust and sharp stones can cause injuries. Keep an exit path clear. In case of a collapse, you need a quick escape route. By following these precautions, you can ensure a safe and successful excavation. And that's it for today's video, treasure hunters. If you found this guide helpful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with fellow hunters, and subscribe for more tips and secrets. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay curious and keep hunting. See you in the next video.